The war in Ukraine rages on with no clear end in sight. Now, why is there no clear end? The answer is that for the West, it's a proxy war. If it were a war between Russia and Ukraine, the war would long be over. But essentially, the NATO countries and the West have mobilized behind Ukraine as supplying Ukraine with heavy weaponry and sophisticated technology, not to mention strategic counsel. So this is really a war between Russia and the West fighting sort of in a disguised form, or maybe not so disguised form, in Ukraine. Here's Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary. He goes, Russia can't win because the entire Western world is lined up behind Ukraine. At the same time, Russia is a nuclear power. A nuclear power cannot be cornered because they may trigger a nuclear war. We need a ceasefire and peace talks, and the sooner the better. Now, this is just the simple common sense of the matter. But if you look at the comments right below, oh yeah, this guy's on the side of Putin. Oh yeah, this guy's a pawn of Putin. And this kind of rhetoric has now become depressingly commonplace in our debate. I'm sure that one could say the same about what I'm about to say, which is I'm about to look at Putin's latest speech and notice that it contains some disturbing elements of truth. Oh, Dinesh is on the side of Putin. Oh, you can't say that's only helping Putin, Dinesh. Now, I'm not on the side of Putin. I'm on the side of Ukraine. I don't like the amount of money that we've committed to this war because it seems to me out of line with our national interest in the matter. It's not to say I'm in principle opposed to helping Ukraine. If somebody said, Dinesh, you can give them 50 cents and that's going to help them win the war, or you can give them a reasonable sum of money that will help boost their chances in at least staving off a Russian success, which I don't think is good for our interests, I would go, yeah, that makes sense. But it seems to me that we have nefarious and perhaps even hidden motives in the war. And that is why there is this kind of absolutist commitment. Russia must be defeated. Russia must retreat completely. This is not normal behavior for the United States, and it appears like we're protecting bioweapons factories we have over there, or we're protecting secrets from coming out that we don't want to come out from Ukraine. Here's Putin in his recent speech delivered, I think, on the 21st of February, State of the Nation. He says, under the guise of words about democracy and freedom, he's now talking about the West. He talks about the West spreading, quote, neoliberal and inherently totalitarian values, an interesting equation between those two. Hang labels on entire countries and peoples. I'm sorry to say this is going on. Publicly insult their leaders, suppress dissent in their own countries. That is also going on. Diverting people's attention from corruption scandals. That's also true. There's no question that the Biden regime has corruption scandals in Ukraine and involving Russia, and all of that is being suppressed in the media. Now, interestingly, Putin goes on to distinguish between the West and the elites of the West. He also does the same thing in Ukraine. Quote, we are not at war with the people of Ukraine. The people of Ukraine themselves are a hostage of the Kyiv regime and its Western masters who actually occupy the country in a political, military, and economic sense. So what he's saying is that the Ukrainian democracy is not a real democracy. It's a propped up democracy. By the way, it does suppress, as sometimes happens in wartime, all kinds of, it suppresses the opposition, heavy regulation, heavy censorship going on in Ukraine. All of this is not reported, at least not reported widely in the Western media. Then he goes on to say this. He talks about people in the West, Western elites, quote, do not stop attacks on our culture, on the Russian Orthodox Church, and other traditional religious organizations of our country. And then comes, I think, the key passage. Look at what they are doing to their own peoples, the destruction of the family, cultural and national identity, perversion, abuse of children, up to even pedophilia, which is declared the norm of their life and clergy. Priests are forced to bless same-sex marriages. And then Putin goes, well, God bless them, let them do what they want. What do you want to say here? Adults have the right to live as they want. We have treated this in Russia. We will always treat it this way. No one intrudes into private life. We're not going to do it. But I want to tell them, look, excuse me, the sacred scriptures, the main books of all the other world religions, everything is said there, including that the family is the union of a man and a woman. But these sacred texts are now being attacked. The Anglican Church, for example, has been reported to be planning, though only just yet, to explore the idea of a gender-neutral God. What can you say? God forgive me, they don't know what they are doing. Millions of people in the West understand they are being led into a spiritual catastrophe. The elites, frankly, are just going crazy, and it seems there is no cure. But these are their problems, as I said, and we are obliged to protect our children, and we will do it. We will protect our children from degradation and degeneration. Whoa, touche, right on. No disagreement whatsoever with what Putin just said. Oh, Dinesh, you're playing into the hands of Putin. Oh, who cares? We're assessing something as to whether it is true or whether it is false. Admittedly, bad guys can use true things in order to make their case as a form of propaganda, so to speak. But that doesn't make them less true. In fact, it makes the propaganda more believable. Why? Because it is ultimately built on a foundation of what I would have to call regrettable truth.